lands good punches. I think Canelo could hurt Crawford. Crawford's, first time in that division and jumping two divisions.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will
against lesser competition. He knocks them the hell out. Canelo doesn't finish these guys, and he doesn't look good beating them. Shout out to the judges. The judges make Canelo look good.
Andre Ward praises Terence Crawford as one of the best finishers in boxing and explains why he thinks Crawford could overpower Canelo Alvarez. Ward says that whenever Crawford notices weakness or sees his rival hurt, he never allows them time to recover. Instead, he puts on non-stop pressure with sharp punches and perfect timing until the fight is over. Ward believes this killer mindset separates Crawford from most fighters, making him dangerous at any point in a match. For Canelo, taking on such a fighter means one mistake or a single weak moment could end the night in a brutal way.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat.
Andre Ward shows great respect for both Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez as they prepare to fight each other. He stresses that this is more than just a money fight, but a moment where both men are risking their reputations. Ward admires the bravery of two champions who already achieved so much, but are still ready to test themselves at the highest level. He explains that fights like this lift the sport of boxing by giving fans a true battle of greatness. For Ward, this matchup represents boxing at its best, and he deeply respects both fighters' commitment.
Man, what's up, fight fans? It's official. I'm going to be the third man ringside calling the Canelo Alvarez Terence Crawford fight September 13th at Allegiant Stadium. I'm excited to be a part of this event. I'm excited to be ringside calling this great card and this great matchup. Historic event for many, many reasons for both fighters. Super middleweight supremacy on the line, legacies on the line, your namesake and reputation is on the line. And I just take my hat off to both of these fighters for putting everything on the line late in their careers the way that they are. This is rare, and it's becoming more and more rare in boxing. Guys don't want this kind of smoke. They really don't want to face another counterpart that can ruin everything that they've built. And it really don't matter how much money's on the table for a lot of guys. They'd rather take a lesser risk for less money than to risk everything like these two fighters are doing. So I take my hat off to them. And I also want to give a shout out to Turki Al-Sheikh for all that he's done to put this fight on. Dana White for all that he's done to put this fight on. And one more person that stays out the way and you don't really hear a lot about, but that has done a lot to make this fight happen as well. And that's my brother, Nick Khan. He just gets stuff done, man. And I want to thank him and shout him out as well for getting this done. So I'll see y'all in Vegas, man. Part of me wants to be home watching this fight in street clothes. But I got to take the street clothes off. I got work to do. I got to put that suit on, get ringside with John and Max, and call this fight like I know we can. Huge event, huge implications, historic night, and I'm happy to be a part. I hope to see you in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. If not, man, tune in live on Netflix.
Robert Garcia gave his opinion on Canelo Alvarez, saying the Mexican star has not looked at his best in recent fights. Garcia pointed out that Canelo seemed slower with both hand speed and footwork, which made him look less dangerous compared to his prime. For a fighter like Terence Crawford, who relies on timing and accuracy, this detail is very important. Garcia feels these weaknesses give Crawford a chance to take over and control the fight. If Canelo cannot regain his sharpness, Crawford's speed, angles, and smart adjustments could become key. Garcia's comments reflect a wider concern that Canelo may no longer be at his peak, giving Crawford an opening to succeed.
Jumping two divisions where he only had one fight at 154 and didn't look his best either. So there's a lot of questions, about that. And that's why a lot of people think Canelo is going to knock out Crawford. But I'm probably one of the only ones that I do give Crawford a chance.
Yeah.
I think Crawford could pull it off. Crawford is very talented. He's very fast. He's very smart in the ring. So I think a perfect fight, Crawford could pull off a decision.
Okay.
I think he could win a decision. I don't pick him. I wouldn't put my money on him winning because it's a very dangerous, risky fight, especially with Canelo being so strong. But Canelo's last few performances, he's looked slow, flat-footed, looking for one punch at a time. And if that's the Canelo that fights Crawford, Crawford could win a decision. Crawford could outbox him, could outsmart him, could land 3-4 punch combinations and move and win a decision. So do I give Crawford a chance? 100% think Crawford could pull it off. Would I put my money on it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I do give him a chance.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, Robert, appreciate you taking time to speak to me. I appreciate you letting me in the gym today. Always a pleasure. And hopefully be catching up sometime soon.
Thanks
appreciate
for coming.
it. Thank you
very much.
Cheers.
Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's respected analysts, raised doubts about Canelo Alvarez's training methods before the fight with Terence Crawford. Atlas noted that Canelo seems to be pushing himself too far, doing more than needed for a tough camp. He mentioned that adding Jaron Ennis, a young and explosive welterweight, to sparring may have been unnecessary. Atlas said smart training matters just as much as hard training, and Canelo's decision could drain him instead of help. His warning suggests that Canelo might be tiring himself out before fight night, which could make him weaker against someone like Crawford.
Now, so I avoided that. I would bring in specific sparring partners that knew how to be a sparring partner. Yeah, if I wanted some, I went over to him before the day started. Listen, I want you to do this. All right, Ted. I'm paying him. I have the right to do that. I want you to move more today. I want you to, I want you to press him a lot. You know what? There was a fight I was getting a guy ready for, and I was worried about the first couple rounds. So I said, when the bell rings, I want you to rush out of the corner and go right after him. And I was, obviously I had my guy ready because we were getting ready for that kind of fight plan, for the possibility that the opponent would come out that way. So I wouldn't look to get a boots Ennis. I mean, nothing wrong with that's what they want. That's fine. But, and I get it, the style, the size, the length. I understand. It's not a bad pick from that point of view. But for me, again, I never go down that road because I got my guy getting ready for a fight. I don't want to leave it in the gym. I don't want to get into that kind of war in the gym. No, I want to have control of all aspects of what the hell I'm doing in the gym to get ready for one night. So no, I wouldn't do that. I'd get the right spar partners. If I thought I had a guy, I get guys that my guy could work with, and if he was having an off day, he could kind of, have his way and do what he wanted with the guy. I'd have one of them. I'd probably have 3 guys, sometimes 4, depending on where we were at, with the calendar when the fight was coming up.
Building on his earlier point, Teddy Atlas said that Canelo's hardest fights may already be happening in the gym. He thinks Canelo is sparring too hard, which looks impressive to fans, but could actually hurt his performance later. Atlas explained that fighters have limited physical and mental energy, and if they spend too much of it before the fight, they may not be at their best when it matters. He compared it to giving your best performance in practice instead of saving it for fight night. For Crawford, this could work as an advantage, since a tired or less powerful Canelo would find it tough to handle his fast and accurate style once the fight begins.
And a lot has been taken out of you in the gym. You left it in the gym. And we heard that Jaron Boots Ennis was getting the best of Canelo Alvarez in his sparring sessions. That he possibly gave him a black eye. We saw the knot on his head. That was just a week ago. The fight is next week, next Saturday. So 3 weeks out from the fight, and you having this hard sparring sessions with Jaron Boots Ennis, who wants to prove a point. Leave no doubt. Jaron Ennis is going into those sparring sessions not just to be a sparring partner, but to gauge where he stands against a legend and a Hall of Famer and a superstar like Canelo Alvarez to understand where he can get better and understand that he can actually compete on that level. So make no mistake about it. Jerron Boots Ennis wasn't in there to lay down. Now, he had a job to do. He was there for a specific reason, which is to give Canelo looks that Terence Crawford could possibly give him. But you best believe in those sparring sessions, he gonna give what he have. He gonna test the waters to see where he stands, right? Not just to help Canelo, not just to be a dummy. There's a reason you bring in a high-profile fighter. And so Teddy Atlas believes this is a huge mistake on Canelo Alvarez's part because now he has possibly left it in the gym. And now he got to go into battle with Terence Crawford. So it's like having two fights in a matter of 3 weeks. And your body's going to show the wear and tear.
One of the main topics about this fight is Canelo Alvarez's lasting punching power. Even when he appears slower or less mobile, his ability to land hard punches keeps rivals cautious. Many fighters who face Canelo spend most of the fight just trying to survive, focusing on defense instead of attack. That is why some of his fights go the full distance without knockouts. It's not that Canelo cannot finish, but that opponents are too careful to give openings. Against Crawford, though, this approach could fail. Crawford has shown he can break down defensive fighters with patience, traps, and sudden attacks. If Canelo only depends on his power, it may not be enough to stop Crawford, who is known for beating even the most cautious rivals.
And no, for sure. I mean, we all see that fucking Canelo got power. That's the same reason why, at the same time, Canelo ends up going a distance with a lot of these guys because these guys are just on survivor mode, you know? They're not trying to fight back. They're not trying to win. They're just surviving, which is hard to knock somebody out that's just surviving, you know? So I feel like Canelo's power is definitely there. I just think it's just a matter of how Crawford reacts when he feels it, you know? Is he gonna be one of those survivors, or is he gonna actually, you know?
No, I think Crawford will go out on the shield. I think he's gonna fight and go out like a warrior.
At the same time, I feel like he does that, then it gives Canelo a chance to be able to clip him, you know? More of a chance.
Turkey said no more Tom and Jerry. I don't expect him to run.
I mean, I don't expect him to run, but at the same time, it's boxing, you know? It's boxing, it's hit and don't get hit, swim and not get
Is that what Haney did when he fought Jose Ramirez?
That's a different type of...
Is that what William Skull did when he fought Canelo?
Yeah, you see, I feel like it's just because I feel like when you watch Bivol versus Betterby, the second fight, that's great boxing right there.
Experts have also raised questions about the level of Canelo's recent wins. Even though he has kept his record strong, many believe those fights did not show the dominance he once had. Instead of powerful knockouts, the victories looked more like tough battles where his size and strength carried him rather than sharp boxing skills. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, brings a complete package into the ring. His slick punching, stance changes, high ring IQ, and smooth footwork create serious problems for opponents. While Canelo may lean on power and size, Crawford's wide range of skills lets him control the pace of the fight. This difference has led many analysts to believe Crawford has a better chance, even with Canelo's history and accomplishments.
He knocks him the hell out. Canelo doesn't finish these guys, and he doesn't look good beating them. You know, shout out to the judges. The judges make Canelo look good for the past 6 fights. And so now we sit here, you know, what is Canelo going to do against Crawford? And while some of you are saying, you know, domination and weight, really the only thing that I hear is his weight, his power, his weight, his power, his weight, his power. And that's all that he has. But when I get to talking about Crawford, we'll dive into that.
Well, to Byron's point, the last super quality fight that Canelo had was against Dimitri Bivol, and we all know what happened with that. You know,
no, I thought Caleb Plant was a good opponent. I thought Caleb Plant was a good opponent.
Well, it was Caleb Plant, then it was Bivol.
Right.
Plant, then Bivol.
Well, don't forget to point out that Bivol came down. Right?
No, that was 175.
Canelo went up.
Canelo went up.
So that kind of puts Canelo at a disadvantage, right? He tested.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to
tested
say that,
great.
if you want to say that,
I mean, you know,
I can.
But I mean, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for him for losing. I'm just saying, hey, you know, if you're gonna test yourself to be great, you gotta wear the consequences.
So let me ask. So no, you're right, 100%. But let me ask you a question. I'm just asking because I don't know. Like, so when you watching that fight, did you think it was a weight issue, or did you think it was more of a skill and boxing thing when watching that fight with Bivol and Canelo?
I thought he was outclassed.
I agree. It was
outclassed,
and it looked like he was being outclassed by basic fundamental boxing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So that was my point. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Bivol's weight had anything to do with him because Bivol's not a knockout artist.
And this legendary power that y'all speak of, this ass-taking Zeus god power that he has, it did not show in that fight.
Gabe Rosado says he favors Canelo Alvarez in this fight, mostly because of Canelo's proven experience at the highest level. Rosado explained that from early in his career, Canelo has been fighting top opponents under huge pressure, building a career full of big moments. For Terence Crawford, this would be his first time entering a fight of such global importance. Rosado respects Crawford's talent, but believes experience matters most when the spotlight is this big. That's why. He gives Canelo the edge, trusting that his record in big fights will guide him once again.
I favor Canelo. Not by a lot, but I do favor him. I just think that, I think the Skull fight was just a bad style. And I think Canelo was like, why force the issue? You know what I mean? I'm up. This guy's running. I'm not gonna take a chance. So I think that it was that kind of fight for Canelo. But Madrimov did give Crawford problems. You know what I'm saying? And where I felt like, damn, at 54, he gave you problems. 68 is different. You know what I'm saying? So you going up 3 weight classes, because he was 47, 54, 60, 68, that's 3 weight classes. It's a major difference, man. And one thing is like, right, so people are saying Canelo has problems with movers. But the reality is Crawford's not a mover. Crawford's not a fighter that fights on his feet in the sense of boxing, kind of like, let's say, how a Pernell Whitaker would box or how Islandi Lara would box. Crawford is a fighter that works on angles. He's not on his feet like Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? He's not that kind of boxer. So he's going to be there to get hit, And I feel like that favors Canelo because Canelo's going to hit you in the arms. He's going to hit you in the elbows. He's going to hit anything you give him, he's going to take it. You know what I mean? And now is Crawford just going to switch his style and become a mover, moving up 3 weight classes? So now you're going to put all that weight on your legs and you never boxed like that before. How can you do that?
Some experts talk about what they call the Canelo May curse. They note that every May, Canelo often looks rusty, usually because of long breaks after fighting the previous September. In contrast, his September fights usually show his best form, like the dominant win against Jermell Charlo. Fans often mention May fights such as those against John Ryder or William Skull as disappointing, while September bouts like the Charlo match highlight a sharper Canelo. This could worry Crawford if their fight happens in September, but not all. Opinions favor Crawford. Some point to his move up in weight, especially his fight with Israel Madrimov. In that fight, Crawford looked strong, but not as destructive as people expected. His power seemed weaker at the higher weight, and his movement did not look as smooth as before. Critics argue that if he showed flaws against Madrimov, facing an experienced veteran like Canelo will be tougher. Canelo's size, durability, and history present a bigger test. Whether Crawford can keep his skills sharp against a naturally larger rival is something that will only be proven inside the ring.
It was in May, Mexican Independence Day, September, and in May, he always has a bad performance called the Canelo May curse. And come September is a better performance. His best performances are in September because since he only fights once a year, after September is a long layoff until May again, which is kind of like his tune-up fight where he looks rusty. I gotta see if this is true. So I brought up the box rec and I want to go through this with you guys. to see if it's actually true. Now, if it is, that's bad news for Terence Bud Crawford, right? So let's look at this. Man, William Skull. We're going to go from recent to the past. William Skull, man, we all know that was a horrible performance to the point where people think Saul Canelo Alvarez is, you know, he's not looking right. He's finally starting to kind of go down in his abilities, right? And all those things. And he's this is kind of like the end of his career type of thing. He's in worse shape than Terence Bud Crawford because of this performance. And I've heard people say that before, and I'm wondering if that's every May. So, William Skull, bad performance, May. September, good performance, Edgar Berlanga. Lightning strike! Okay, we all know that was a good performance. Everybody was excited about that fight. Jaime Munguia, May! He's been very criticized about going 12 with Jaime Munguia, right? He knocked him down, but going 12 with Jaime Munguia, and people saw that as a horrible performance from Saul Canelo Alvarez. I actually liked that fight. They were going at it, but people say